Hey guys, OG Albani here, bringing you guys a pretty cool video here today. Now, recently I was in a league called the GPL. It was Season 9, I was in the Canada Division, and if you haven't heard of GPL before, it's a really cool Discord server slash, custom showdown server where they actually have custom megas, as you can see on our screen right here. Fan-made megas like Mega Lantern, Mega Feraligatr, Rapidash is another cool one, stuff like that. And they organized their own draft league, and it was a really, really big kind of thing where they had multiple divisions, all named after Gen 4 cities, I think it was. And my mom's knowledge is kind of awful when it comes to stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure it's Gen 4 cities, which was really cool. I had a lot of fun playing it this season. My run recently ended, and I'm really bored sitting in quarantine. I haven't been outside in like 2 weeks, so I figured, hey, might as well share our run, kind of make it into a little movie here for the YouTube verse and stuff like that, just so you guys can kind of see some cool megas and stuff like that, some fun games and all that good stuff, because again, it was a lot of fun playing in this, so I figured I might as well share it and stuff like that. But yeah, I will definitely leave a link to the GPL Discord in the description below as well if you want to join the Discord, so you can, jump on the showdown server and all that good stuff. And even if it's not playing in a league right now, because I think, things just winded down and all that stuff, you can always play your buddies on the ladder and stuff like that as well. So I think that's a lot of fun. I've done it with my friends a bunch. So yeah, with that being said, I do want to kind of jump into our draft and the format of the draft and stuff like that, just so you kind of see what we draft. I'll go over it super briefly because it's going to be a super long video. But like I said, it was a custom mega league, and this happened like right around the time Gen 8 dropped. So instead of going through the process of tiering everything in a Nat Dex format when we didn't really know how everything would really work out and stuff like that, they decided to kind of just make it a free draft format, which was a little bit odd for me because I don't play in a lot of free draft formats, stuff like that, so my team turned out a little wonky, I won't lie, but I think it turned out pretty decent, and it was pretty fun to use this season, so I'm excited. I was pretty excited to use it, and I'm glad that I used the team that we got, is kind of what I'm trying to say, I guess. But we actually had like second pick overall in the draft, and I wanted to secure a custom mega first, because if you're the guy who goes in and drafts Mega Mawile in a custom mega league, you're super lame, dude. I wanted something cool. I wanted a Pokemon that was, obviously something I could only use here, and I wanted one of the best that was available from the board. I almost went with Mega Rapidash because it sounds like a lot of fun, but I ended up going with Mega Lantern. I do want to also put that out there. Hidden powers, cut moves, pursuit, and all that stuff is still allowed in this league. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. Hidden powers can be used, pursuit, signal beam, return, things like that can still be used. So we'll keep that in mind going forward. But I grabbed Mega Lantern, and you're going to see right here, it has its own signature ability called Thunderstorm, which is ridiculous. It's on switching. The Pokemon summons Rain and Electric Terrain. So it is Electric Terrain plus Drizzle in one, which I think is really cool. It allows for a lot of team synergy and stuff like that. This thing's ridiculously bulky. We're gonna have like 125 HP, fat speed F stat, fat defense stat. Decently strong, not the strongest thing with 96 base special attack, but if you throw Rain and Electric Terrain on there, your stabs are hurting, and throwing off 100% accurate Thunders is obviously going to be super dope. Rain boosted Surfs and Scalds and Hydro Pumps and stuff like that, not gonna feel too nice. It has access to Heal Bell and Volt Switch and all that good stuff. Basically Lantern, but a lot better, which is really cool. And pre-Mega, because this isn't first term Mega either, pre-Mega will still have access to Volt Absorb and Water Absorb, so that gives us a nice little electric immunity prior to our Mega evolution. So I think that's pretty sick. Next up, we end up grabbing Ferrothorn. Nice little rain staple. Really annoying to kill in rain. Like I said, hidden power is allowed, so I would like to weaken those hidden power fires for it, which is obviously super nice for us. Just a really solid steal. It's really difficult to break under the rain. We also grabbed Hawlucha. Not with Limber. Most of the time, we are running Burden, maybe Mold Breaker every once in a while. But this is going to be our terrain abuser, because not only does the Thunderstorm set rain, it also sets the terrain. So I figured that'd be nice to have. Token, Rain Abuser, and Barraskewda. Really wanted to try out this new toy. I thought this thing was going to be way better than it actually is when I drafted it. I thought this thing was going to be like, wow, this is the Rain Abuser. It was still a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. I actually loved using Barraskewda. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, though, but it was still really good. The crazy thing is things like Are-You right now, which is nuts. We also grabbed Gengar. Gengar's a really cool mon. I have it in a couple of the drafts currently, but this was the first one I actually drafted in. Really strong ghost type, gives us that 110 speed tier. Gives us access to Nasty Plot this gen. We can throw off big Shadow Balls and Fluctuate, so we have to be wary of the pursuit still being allowed in the game, which does hurt Gengar a little bit, but I think it's still really good. Noivern gives us a nice little defogger. It gives us a really fast speed tier above Hawlucha. and in between Hawlucha and Barraskewda, because Barraskewda is going to, more so be focused on the rain, and Hawlucha is going to be more so focused on winning the game. So I wanted a mod that was more reliable in that speed tier. Again, like I said, it gave me a removal, which I think was really, really big for this team. The advent of Boots really helps us, and then throwing off 100% accurate Hurricanes is also going to be really nice. Gives us momentum, just, a bunch of cool stuff like that. Frisk is a great ability in draft, just so is Infiltrator, all that good stuff. Then we grab Necro. Another really, really fun mod. We have it in APA main right now, but this is the first time I drafted it, and I was really, really excited to use this because outside of main, which, obviously happened months after this, I hadn't gotten to use Necro yet, so I wanted a nice bulky psychic. Gives me a rocker, gives me a setup threat. So this seems very, very, very offensive, if you can't tell. We have a nice couple bulky pivots at the top, and the rest of it's just pretty much hard offense, which is a lot of fun. Next up, we grab Comfey. I think Comfey is a lot better with hidden power in the game, so we're not just walled by steel types. We can still run HP fire, HP ground, stuff like that. Gives me another defogger, which is nice. It gives me a cleric, which is nice. That's not named Lantern because I don't want to fit Heal Bell and Lantern every single week. That I need, a cleric or something like that. So I figured Comfey would be nice. It gives us huge momentum as well. Priority in that Draining Kiss. We grab Seismitoad for more defensive water to take a little bit of pressure off of our Lantern. It gives us a ground type to stop those volt switches. Again, taking a little bit of pressure off of Lantern pre-Mega. Gives us a rocker. It gives us Swift Swim Abuser as well. If we want to get a little cheeky and run an offensive Seismitoad, we can definitely do so. I think that's really nice for us. Grab Avalugg. Just nice little bulky mon. Gives a spin. It's really good with the Boots advent. It helps in rain that it's losing that fire weakness. Really, really bulky on the defensive side. Just a really cool mon, honestly. I love Avalugg. And then we grab Zoroark. I wanted a dark type, so I didn't auto lose the psychics just to pressure those things and stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be the team, and we will be right back with our first game. So week 1, we ended up going against my good buddy Ollie. Ollie had a pretty cool team. To start out with this thing, his custom Mega of choice was Mega Blossom. That thing's pretty scary. I believe it has, what ability does it have? Oh my lord, I'm completely forgetting. I know it turns into a grass and fire type, and it gets pretty threatening on both the physical and the special side. I think it has just like a fire type pixelate. I'm like pretty sure. So that was also really scary. He had stuff like Azelf, which is a personal favorite of mine, Grimmsnarl, and then some nice, really annoying fat stuff. You can see right here, like the Weezing, the Porygon 2. Rotom and stuff like that, but I think we had a pretty good matchup for this team in particular. Oh, he also had Galarian Darm. He didn't bring Darm. I definitely over prepared for it like crazy because I had Seismitoad, I had Avalugg and stuff like that. Avalugg was more so definitely for that thing, but Seismitoad also helped check it a little bit and gave me a good rocker. But team we ended up bringing this week, really short, quick overview. We had a pretty defensive Lantern. I believe we were just 4 attacks: Ice Beam, Volt Switch, Scald, and Thunder. We had a Lumberry 4 attacks, Barraskewda or Lumberry being for that Grimmsnarl in case it wants to prankster T-Wave us, stuff like that. We had a defensive Seismitoad with Rock, Scald, Power Whip, and Toxic. Power Whip was mostly there for the Rotom in case it wanted to use as a sub fodder, maybe like sub nasty plot on us and something like that. I didn't want to let that happen. Then we have a Calm Mind, Taunt, Leech Seed, Draining Kiss Comfey, which is here to just really disrupt and annoy his team. He doesn't appreciate it very much, minus that Blossom. So if we can get rid of that Blossom, we can actually only win a good majority of his team with our Comfey here. And then we have a defensive Avalugg, Boots. We had Avalanche, Recover, Rapid Spin, Body Press, pretty typical stuff. And then we had a pretty cool sub Nasty Plot Gengar with Dual Stabs, Taunt, Dual Stabs, Sub, and Nasty Plot. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that being said, let's jump right into the first match. Let me slow it back down to normal. I was watching hyper fast, remember? So we're going to lead off our Lantern, and I figured it was a pretty free lead, as he leads off with his Rotom. He's immediately going to pivot out into the Porygon 2, which is definitely a smart play. It's going to allow him to trace our Volt Absorb, which is a little bit annoying, so we're not going to be able to throw off that big Thunder, which is a bit unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world, because we have a pretty free Seismitoad here, and I'm just going to throw off a Toxic. The reason I throw off a Toxic immediately is because I felt like this thing's really hard for my team to break. If you look at the majority of my team, minus Comfey taunting it and wearing it down that way, nothing on my team really deals with it super well. Barraskewda is definitely not going to go it or anything like that. Seismitoad, Avalugg is not going to appreciate getting Toxic like we saw this thing had. Gengar definitely doesn't break it initially, and Lantern doesn't either, so I figured a Toxic on this thing would be invaluable. He does let me trade Toxic with him, which is obviously really nice. As you also see, he has the Trick Room, so that's going to be something we have to keep in mind. He tries to use that as a little bit of speed control versus a rain here. As he is going to switch out into the Blossom, as I'm going to take this turn to get up my Rocks and slow the game down, because it's going so fast. I figured my Rocks would be really nice, just chipping his team down over time and all that good stuff. As I am going to pull a switch out of the Blossom into my Gengar. The reason I go Gengar immediately is because I honestly feel like it was a really safe pivot, because if this thing Mega'd and went for the fire move, Obviously, we wouldn't take too much due to our, what do you call it? Rain being up, and then we obviously resist the grass move and stuff like that. We put on a lot of offensive pressure initially here because the Porygon's toxic, so doesn't want to come in and take a hit. It's going to be really annoying for it actually, and the rest of his team just does not deal with what do you call it? Gengar's dual steps, like at all. This thing just goes crazy this game. So we are going to switch in. We're going to take 34 and we're going to disable him, which is actually really nice as well because it's going to force him out pretty much this next turn. As Trick Room is going to go down to its last turn, he's going to go on to PZ, as I believe we just throw up a sub this turn. I'm pretty sure. No, we're going to double out into the Avalugg. As he does go into the PZ, and we're going to be able to throw off a pretty free body press here. He's going to stay and elect to get up the Toxic, which is completely fair, but we are going to do so much to this thing as we get off, a good 43, and that plus Poison is totally going to beat this thing 1v1. It really doesn't appreciate it, so I'm going to switch out here back into my Gengar on the recover turn. The reason I do this is because I know he's going to be, back down more so around 50%, and with his thing so chipped, I can honestly sub and then get him on a recover turn and then kind of sludge wave through him and put a lot of pressure on his team from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw off a sub. If he actually ends up going for the foul play and breaking our sub, not the biggest deal in the world. It's a bit annoying, but he's going to take a little bit more poison. And actually, this thing's so bulky. If this was Spadef on his Porygon, he was actually not in range of a sludge wave yet. So what I'm going to do this turn one more time is I'm just going to throw up a sub. The reason I do that is obviously because it'll put him in range, and obviously covers him trying to go for a recover. It covers him trying to pivot out into something faster or something like that, as he is going to actually end up switching out into the Azelf, as you see, as we throw up a sub. And this is like amazing because this is one of the few mons that really threatened me offensively on this build. So I'm going to be able to get up a free sub, get a little bit of Black Sludge, and just throw off a big Shadow Ball to knock this thing out, which is obviously super clean for us. It's going to absolutely just drop to that, and we're slowly getting back our health due to our Black Sludge, which is obviously super clutch too. So Azelf being gone is really big for the team. Porygon is so weakened, it's great. He's going to go hard into the Grimmsnarl. I'm not going to want to stay on this thing. I can reach Sucker Punch from a mile away, honestly, at this point. As he is actually going to go for the Thunder Wave. Same difference. We don't want our Gengar Thunder Wave. We don't want it Sucker Punch and knocked out. So Seismitoad was pretty safe there regardless. As he is going to go out into the Weezing. As I believe I just throw off a Scald. Yeah, so we're going to go off Scald. Do about 31% to this thing. Get a little bit of lefties back as he's going to get some back as well. Showing us that we are faster, which is obviously really nice to know. As I'm going to pivot out Lantern this next turn, as we can take anything this thing really wants to go for and not be too worried about it. As he's going to go for a Stream Steam. And you're going to see this Mega Lantern is so ridiculously bulky. I also do want to apologize. Looking at these replays, unlike on the server, it actually won't show me the sprites for these things. I'm gonna try maybe in between these replays to do it in, the black and white models, and maybe it'll show up like that, but it just won't show up for me in this. So unfortunately, when they Mega, you're gonna see boxes and stuff like that, but it is a Mega Lantern and all that stuff. So yeah, we're gonna take next to nothing for that Strange Team, and I'm going to be able to throw off the next turn, just throw off a Big Thunder, and you're going to see that's definitely a 2-hit KO. Unfortunately, we're going to pair this Weezing and actually get it to full pair the next turn, which does suck because he doesn't get any more chip on us than he would have previously, but regardless, we would have knocked it out the next turn with the Volt Switch, which is what we're going to do to not allow that Blossom to come in for free, because I think it'd be really annoying for us, as I am going to go on to Avalugg. Now, he's going to take this opportunity to go out into the Blossom himself, and this is where I make a bit of a misplay in my prep more so than anything. Because this is, custom Mega League, we're not super well accustomed to these kinds of mons and stuff like that. I totally forgot playing this game, and I remember explicitly forgetting when playing this game that Mega Blossom turns into a fire type, so I'm like, word, I just click Avalanche a couple times and we're going to be good here. Even if he attacks me or in rain, I don't need this thing anymore. We're completely fine. You're going to see right here, as he SDs in my face, that Avalanche is doing nothing. It does 24%. So this could have been really bad if he was Quiver Dance opposed to Swords Dance. So I'm really glad that he, obviously wasn't going to be Quiver, because if he was Quiver, I think he potentially could have just won the game here. I mean, we still, as long as we didn't let him get up to +2, we still had Bear Scooter potentially coming in revenge, which is obviously really nice. But beyond that, things were looking tough for us. But being that he showed SD, I'm not too worried about this. I'm going to try and just kind of get a little bit of chip off on this thing and kind of try and whittle it down from here, as he is just going to throw off a Leaf Blade and finish off our Avalugg. That's completely fine, though. I just go hard Gengar at this point, and I throw off a Sludge Wave and something dies. Or gets 2-hit KO'd or something of the sorts, because his team, like I said, just does not switch into Gengar's dual stabs we're going to do a good 51 to this thing, and after lefties is definitely in range of another one. One more Sludge Wave and this thing's going to be picked off, which is obviously really nice. The only thing stopping our Gengar from just winning this game is going to be that Grimmsnarl, and honestly, we have plenty for it at this point. So what we're going to do right here is I believe I pivot out into my Lantern, expecting a Thunder Wave, also expecting a Sucker Punch. One of the two, we cover it pretty well, as he is going to go for a Fire Punch. Fire Punch expecting... Honestly, I don't know. Maybe the Comfey or something like that, but we can go for a Scald, do a lot of damage to this thing, as he does throw off a Play Rough and one more turn, and then we can just throw off one more Scald and pick this thing off or something. But I'm going to make another bad play. I'm going to go for the Volt Switch. I expected him to want to save this and go into Blossom or something like that, because I know he could take one of the Scalds even in the rain, just due to his no good natural bulk and stuff like that, and it being, you know, a neutral hit, or even just sacking off the P2, because P2 does nothing in this game. And I figured, you know, he saves this because of the fact that we have an entire Gengar there that just auto wins the game at this point. But he's going to end up staying in, so he catches us right there, which is a bit unfortunate. We're going to be forced into our Barraskewda. Honestly, I probably should have gone Comfey, because Comfey didn't do the most in this game either, but I also didn't want to allow in the, what do you call it? The Mega Blossom the turn after, because again, that thing is pretty scary for our team. So we're going to go in, we're going to get Play Rough down. It's going to do a good 76%, which is really unfortunate. In this next turn, I'm going to pivot right back out into Lantern. Reason I do so is because either Sucker Punch or Thunder Wave's coming, and I know I can take any one hit from this thing. So this turn, I'm just going to be able to throw off one more Volt Switch. We are going to knock him out. He's not even going to go for the Sucker there, which was definitely really interesting in my mind. But regardless, Lantern's going to pick it off, and we're going to be able to go into Gengar and essentially just win this game right here. He doesn't have anything else to really switch in, as he is going to come in back at 16% from this Porygon after, you know, poisoning all the rocks damage it took. We're going to click Sludge Wave twice, and we're going to be able to pick up a Week 1 dub versus Mr. Ollie, which is really cool. We're going to go to 1-0 in the season and jump into our next week's game. So I'll be right back with that one. Alright guys, so for our week 2 game, we ended up going up against Herninchad, and Herninchad's mega of choice is actually going to be a Mega Infernape. And Infernape's a cool mega. Honestly, I think I probably prefer regular Ape more so, because honestly the only buffs that Mega Infernape got was it got a boost to both of its attacking stats. I think it's like at around base 130 in each. And it got a big buff to its speed, which is also really nice. Kept the same bulk, and it gained Infiltrator. I think maybe another ability would have suited it a little bit better. Infiltrator is obviously really cool, just due to the fact you can, you know, bypass screens and subs and all that good stuff. And it makes sense, and I think they probably did it just to not overly break them on. But I honestly prefer just regular Ape a little bit better. The fact that you can run an item and, you know, still get similar damage output with like a Life Orb or a Band or a Spectre or something like that is a bit disheartening. But regardless, it's really strong, and it's really strong against my team in general. He has just crazy offense. I mean, just look at the team that this dude brought versus me, and it is just hard hitter after hard hitter after hard hitter. You have the Mega Infernape, you have Lando I with Sheer Force, which, look at my team, I just don't have a switch in for. There's not much I can do about it other than just say, I gotta pick one, or I gotta have him on that takes one hit and then revenges it back or something like that. Zeraora, crazy good versus my team, especially the team that I brought. Bulu, I have Rain. Bulu's really good versus my team. Kartana, tears me up. Cron also tears me up. I have Rain. Nothing on my team wants to take Cron boosted hits, especially in the rain. Like, my water types obviously take a ton from its coverage moves, and everything else takes a chunk from, you know, its water moves, which is obviously really scary. But we have a pretty cool team this week. We're rocking out with a defensive Mega Lantern. 4 attacks, same deal. It's here to pivot around, get some big damage off, and get in our scarier threats. We have a Life Orb, 4 attacks, Barraskewda. We are Liquidation, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Poison Jab. We have Aqua Jet specifically for that Mega Infernape so that we have priority to outspeed it. Because I know that thing obviously gets, like, you know, Vacuum Wave and Mach Punch, stuff like that. So that's a way it could potentially revenge us, and I want to make sure I can revenge it instead, which is really important, because Aqua Jet is going to do a ton to that thing. So that's really nice for it. We have an Electric Seed, SD, what do you call it, Hawlucha. We have a, I believe it's Choice Scarf Gengar with Dual Steps, Psychic, and Trick. We have a defensive Necro with Photon Geyser, Signal Beam, Morning Sun, and Stealth Rock. It's going to be our rock this week. It's our main check to things like Infernape and Kartana. Zeraora can eat a hit from pretty well. So it's honestly here to check a lot. And it's going to be very pressured this game, as you're going to see. And then we have a Comfey here. I forget exactly what Comfey we are. Are we Calm Mind this week? We might be Calm Mind. We might be Defog. I totally forget this one specific one, even though I just looked. But regardless, if you look at my opponent's team, our end game with Barraskewda is so ridiculously nice. He does not switch into Barraskewda. Like, under any circumstances, he gets bodied by this thing. So I'm honestly just going to lead off with it, as unorthodox as a lead as it is. I really want to put a lot of offensive pressure on my opponent, as unfortunately, he's going to lead off with the Zero Aura. And there's not much I can do about that. I need to switch out. This thing obviously outspeeds me and just clean knocks me out at this point. So I'm going to go into Necro, because I am Water Absorb on my Lantern for the Cron this week, opposed to Volt Absorb. So we're going to take a little bit from a Life Orb Volt Switch, which is unfortunate. He's going to go into his Kartana, which is fine, because this is my main check to this thing. Is you're going to throw off a knockoff. You're going to see after we lose our item that is not a 2-hit KO, because we are super defensive, and Signal Beam does a fat chunk to that. So I am going to throw off a Morning Sun this turn just to stay a little bit healthy as he goes into Landorus, and this puts, oh, Moonlight, same thing. And this puts me in a really precarious situation, because I don't necessarily switch into this thing, and I really need my rocks. However, being that Kartana is super chipped, and honestly in chipped range of the Barraskewda, which was my main goal with it, I'm kind of fine with letting my Necro go down in order to get up rocks to secure breaking any sashes of, you know, other mons in the back and things like that, and just to help with rolls and things like that. So I'm going to end up getting my rocks here, as the lander just goes for the Earth Power, and he's going to be able to 2-hit KO me. He goes for the Sludge Wave the next turn. I guess for the Comfey or something like that, maybe one pivot in, but not the biggest deal in the world, as that actually tells me, because he went for the Sludge Wave instead, that tells me that he is 150% not Scarfed, which is really nice for us to know, because I can go into my Barraskewda and put on a lot of offensive pressure right here. Because right here, I am going to go in, click Liquidation, do 27%, and get the defense drop. So obviously, Poison Jab does kill from here. However, I didn't want to risk him being Scarfed versus my team, because I could totally see it. I mean, again, I have Rain. I have a Ferrothorn, so I didn't think Scarf would come. I thought, you know, maybe like SD Superpower might come, something like that. But regardless, it's something I have to scout for just in case, because obviously I didn't bring Ferrothorn, so it's not really much of a reason to stop him from being Scarfed in this in particular iteration of the matchup. So I want to switch out and scout that, because I do see Barraskewda is my best win con, it's my best breaker and things like that. So I am going to switch out into my Gengar, because regardless, he's clicking the grass move here. I'm not too worried about anything else coverage-wise, as he is going to click the Horn Leech. And you're going to see that is a clean 2-hit KO. And now in my head, I'm thinking, well, even if he is Scarfed, I guaranteed outspeed. And if I'm not Scarfed, I'm potentially out of range of a Horn Leech in his mind anyways, after this Grassy Turn recovery and stuff like that. So in my head, I'm thinking, hey, he's going to want to switch out into the Kartana or something like that to try and get a free switch in on us, and throw off some big damage or something like that, because I could totally see him being Scarfed Cart as well. Something like that, or maybe even trying to pivot into the Landorus, because it's a resistant hit and it can live a Sludge Wave into a Shadow Ball. Something like that. So in my mind, I said, I'm going to click a Shadow Ball, because again, I'm Scarfed, I'm locked into whatever move I click, and I expect him to say, no, I probably shouldn't sack my Bulu, it's really good versus this team. Unfortunately, I don't know if he just calls my bluff raw, but I am going to click the Shadow Ball right here, and you're going to see we're not going to do too much, and he's going to actually just revenge us hard with a Wood Hammer, which is really unfortunate, because Gengar was really good this game, honestly. It, you know, wasn't affected by that priority from the Infernape, so it was a good Scarfer in this game. Granted, he did have Cron out, which was pretty scary versus us, but I did like Gengar nonetheless. It helped me with a Scarf Cart. It helped me revenge Zero Aura, a bunch of things like that. So, really unfortunate losing our Gengar. I don't necessarily... I still stand by my play, to be completely honest. I really don't think he should have made the play in particular that he did make. But regardless, this tells me, because he clicked Wood Hammer, that he is 100% not Choice Scarf. So this allows me in a free Barraskewda to just wreak havoc on my opponent's team, as he is going to go into the Infernape, probably reading the Poison Gem coming out for here for sure, as I am going to go for the Poison Gem, do 63 to that thing, which is ridiculous. Now, in his mind, he's probably thinking, word, I can just try and get off a bunch of damage with a Vacuum Wave or a Mach Punch or something like that this next subsequent turn. But thankfully, due to the fact that we do have the Aqua Jet on our Infernape, we are just going to be able to click Jet and then pick this thing off. And, you know, the really big threat to our team is going to just be gone, which is really nice for us, as we do take him out. Now, we're in a pretty tough situation here as the Cron comes in, because in my mind, Cron is probably the biggest threat left to us, honestly. That plus Zera. Zera is really scary as well. But again, as long as we have our Rain, we should be okay. However, our Rain is very much so pressured in this instance, because the fact that it is our only switch into this Cron, but this is why we're Water Absorb. He doesn't click Knock Off this turn. He actually ends up going for the Crab Hammer. That would have knocked out our Barraskewda anyways. You know, if he had Life Orb or if he was banned or anything like that. As I am just going to go into my Lantern, get a free Mega Evolution off. And again, I guess this is just an instance of me over predicting, but I really did think my opponent would want to save this thing because it was so good versus me. I figured he would try and go into something like Cortana, something something like that, maybe sacking it off, going into Boo to try and pressure me, something of the sorts. But he's actually going to end up staying in as I click Ice Beam, predicting said switch into one of his grasses, and he's going to go for Crab Hammer and miss. So we got bailed out right there, but again, I really do stand by my play and the fact that he was just willing to sack this card versus me, which I thought was really good here. As this turn, I am going to Volt Switch, as we do end up knocking out the card just because of its bad Spadef. The Ice Beam was more so to catch the Blue or something like that because it didn't deal with it super well. But regardless, not too big of a deal because we get a free switch in our Barraskewda, and it's time to just wreak havoc on my opponent's team. So right here, he's going to go into the Bulu. I can just throw off a free Poison Jab. There's nothing stopping me. He doesn't even have the, free Liquidation. He's in range, we're in rain, and we're Life Orb boosted. Something's going to drop to that hit, which is obviously super clean for us. And the terrain's actually kind of offsetting our Life Orb chip, which is awesome. So he's going to go into Cron and do 66% with a Banded Aqua Jet, as we're going to be able to throw off a close combat, knock him out, and actually live the next hit due to, again, the grassy terrain really helping us out. So Barraskewda is going nuts in this matchup right here. He's going to go Landorus, basically just sacking it off at this point. Not the biggest deal in the world, as I just do click Liquidation one more time, claim one more KO, as the rain and the is going to end, and grass turn is going to give us a little bit of health back. Now this next subsequent turn, he's going to go into Zera. I see no reason to switch out. I think I can just click Aqua Jet in the case that he sets up or anything crazy like that, get a lot of chip off, as he is going to knock us out in the following turn with the Plasma Fist. But then turn after, I can just go into Mega Lantern, click Scald, something of the sorts, and then be able to pick up this game in a nice 3-0 fashion. Hawlucha never having to come out, Comfey never having to come out. We're in a pretty solid spot from this position, so I wasn't too worried about it. Nothing this thing could ever knock me out or anything like that, even with a crit, being that he was Life Orb. So we're going to be able to move to 2-0, and I will be right back with next week's game. Alright guys, here we are with week 3. We ended up going against, I think this two teams like Kangaroo Jolty or something like that in the actual server. But he is a pretty terrifying team, very good team. However, he drafted Mega Mawile, which is so lame because you're playing in a custom Mega League. But nonetheless, I get what he was going for. Mega Mawile is obviously a beast, and it's obviously still really fun to use it. If you're going for some win, it's definitely a great mod of choice. But he's a really scary team. But I think we have the team to take it on this week. We are bringing a pretty Spadef bulky Lantern with a good amount of special attack. Again, I think we're just 4 attacks: Volt Switch, Thunder, Scald, Surf, and Ice Beam. We are in SD3 attacks Hawlucha, which is going to be our main win con this game. Acro, CC, and Stone Edge deals with his team phenomenally. So we're just going to have to get that Mawile to pop its Mega and get a little bit of chip on something like Moltres, and we should be able to just win the +2. Also this weekend needs to be chipped as well, obviously. We have a pretty bulky Ferrothorn here for us. We have are we Choice Scarf Gengar? Forget exactly the Gengar we are, but we're pretty offensive Gengar. We have a Rock Seismitoad, and then we have a double Dance, Swords Dance, Autotomized Necro. The reason we're double dance supposed to something like DD is just because DD wasn't allowed in this because they had some really weird rules based on like mons and what they would get if they weren't released, but they were like in the code for getting things like the like blasters can use Shell Smash and things like that. So it was very odd in that sense, but not the biggest deal in the world. Regardless, I figured my best lead in this matchup will 100% be our Lantern, so that is what we are going to lead off with. It ends up leading off with the Thundy, which is honestly completely fine with me because I know this thing doesn't gonna want to stay in. It doesn't do too much damage to us off the rip, as I am just gonna Mega Evolve and throw off a big old Ice Beam. I figured the Tangrowth might be the switch, but regardless, we take it on pretty decently, as this thing shows to be AV as hell and takes 35 from our Ice Beam, which is unfortunate, but we can always just Volt Switch out of there and deal with it subsequently. So I am going to switch out. I'm going to go Gengar, as he goes for a big old Power Whip. That does a chunk, man. That does a lot of damage. Good 38, but not the biggest deal in the world, honestly, as we're going to be able to throw off a pretty free hit here, as he does end up going into Suicune on our Sludge Wave, and this is also going to bounce, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm not too worried about Suicune at this point, because we still have a very healthy Lantern, we still have a healthy Ferrothorn. I think we're Cursed Ferrothorn to take on Suicune guaranteed, with like Bullet Seed. So I'm going to switch in our Lantern as he doubles into the Thundy, which again I'm completely fine with. I'm going to throw off an Ice Beam on the incoming Tangrowth, and as you'll see here, I end up getting a Freeze. Now this blows for my opponent because this puts them in a position where I can easily 2-hit KO and kind of take out the thing from there. So what my opponent's going to try and do is they're going to try and pivot around. They're going to go Suicune, you know, obviously on my Ice Beam, as I'm going to throw off one more, and I am going to get yet another freeze, which is insane. Double freeze 2 turns in a row is pretty nuts, and this is going to put me in a great position because I'm going to be able to Volt Switch out on this Frozen Tangrowth and put myself in a phenomenal position offensively, because what this is going to allow me to do is go into my Necro and just throw off an SD, and try and boost up, as he is going to go Suicune, and this allows me to, you know, set up even more, as I am going to get up one Swords Dance, and knowing this thing still hasn't burned a turn of sleep up to this point, I'm going to throw up an Autotomize, and, you know, kind of beg on this thing not getting, waking up and going for a roar or anything, as it does stay frozen, which is obviously nice. And we're going to be able to throw off a big +2 Photon Geyser, as it's not going to be enough to take it out, and just because Suicune is so ridiculously bulky, but it is definitely a 2-hit KO, as it does stay frozen once again, and we are looking in a prime position to just break through our opponent's team. It's not necessarily going to sweep from here, because they do have counterplay, like Intimidate a Mob with Sucker Punch into, like, you know, priority with, you know, Lycanroc and stuff, but we're still going to do a lot of damage to our opponent. So Intimidate's going to come off. They're going to throw off a Sucker Punch, but thanks to our Colbert, we're not going to take too much from that, honestly. Only a good 27%, which is going to allow us to throw off an Earthquake. Unfortunately, we do not kill it. If it wasn't super bulky, we might have, but he did have a fair amount of defense in this. He's going to throw off us another Sucker. We live it, and are able to knock out with an Earthquake, which is obviously nice, because Mega Maw was probably the biggest threat to my team. I did not switch into that beast at all, as he's going to go into the Accel Rock and into the Lycanroc, and just be able to pick us off with the Accel Rock, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Toad. This is my designated switch into this thing. It's going to allow me to get at my rocks and kind of go from there, which is obviously super nice for us, as he goes into the Thundurus. Now this Thundurus is a big problem, because I just don't deal with Nasty Plot Thundurus very well on this team. Being that I have Rain inherently, it just hits my team incredibly hard with grass coverage plus electric. We went into Ferrothorn just because I figured it was my best pivot into things. He just throw off the Nasty Plot, but this thing does get access to Incinerate, as that is going to be what it throws out here. I'm going to pivot out and just try and scout for that potentially. But yeah, I know it was the Focus Blast I was scouting for, but he ends up going for the Incinerate, which is going to knock us out, which is unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world, as I am going to be able to go to my Lantern right here. You're going to see this is not going to be able to knock me out, thankfully, due to our pretty hefty Spadef bulk, as we are going to throw off an Ice Beam, chip this thing down pretty considerably, and be able to essentially sack off our Lantern right here to get into a position where Lucha can come in and revenge this thing due to our Unburden boost and obviously being faster and all that good stuff. So that's obviously really nice for us. We're going to come in, Electric Seed is going to pop, and we're just going to throw off an Acrobatic, which is obviously really nice. Now, in this position we're in, we're looking at a pretty decent position to sweep at this point. It totally depends on this Moltres that's coming in. It totally depends on the spread. You're going to see here in a second that it is going to be a boost Moltres. If he's not super Fizz Def, we should always knock him out. I think we always knock out max HP with our spread. But you're going to see right here, we actually end up getting that boosted crit chance having come through for us right here, as we're going to crit the Stone to knock it out. I remember talking to him after the game, and it definitely did matter. We did not knock out that Moltres otherwise, so that's super unfortunate for my opponent, because this is just going to allow us to clean up with Lucha, unfortunately, and grab a good 4 kills with it. So I'm just going to throw off a CC on the Lycanroc, not messing around with that thing, and then the Tangrowth is going to come in, and we're going to be able to clean up and pick up a week 3 dub. So we're starting off 3-0 due to a very unfortunate set of circumstances for my opponent. Definitely very unfortunate. Double freeze into, what do you call it? Double freeze into that crit is just awful. I do feel bad about that, but it's the game we play, and hopefully we can keep our momentum going into next week when we play week 4. So we're going to have a little break in the replay portion of the video, just because I just went back and looked, and week 4 we ended up getting a forfeit win versus someone, and week 5 we also ended up getting a forfeit win, which is versus someone, which is unfortunate. Week 6 we did play. That's going to be the little screenshot on your screen right here. Unfortunately, the replay didn't save, just because the replays are a little bit iffy on the server and stuff like that. So the replay didn't save. We ended up getting a Lucha Sweep versus Thorazak, I don't know, something like that. We ended up getting the Lucha Sweep, which is obviously really clean. Lucha coming in, but I just wanted to kind of explain, you know, what was happening with all that stuff, why there isn't a week 4, 5, or 6 games in this video and all that good stuff. But regardless, they're all 3 wins, so at this point we are going to be 6-0. So yeah, we'll jump right in, I think, with week 7 here. Alright guys, week 7, so we end up against Aaron 12, and his mega choice was going to be Mega Typhlosion, which is a pretty cool mon. I believe it's Fire Electric, and it's actually more physical based, which is pretty cool, and it has some pretty cool moves and things like that. The only issue with this game, as you're gonna see, is it really does come down to me not doing enough research and not being super prepared. I kind of threw this team together last minute, and it totally came to bite me in the butt. But you'll see what I mean when I jump in. Team we're building, and we're bringing a pretty spadef bulky. What do you call it? 4 attacks. Lantern again. Bring a what do you call it? An SD Lucha. 4 attacks, Life Orb, Bear, Scuda, Sub Metronome, Gengar, Pixie Plate, Calm Mind, Comfey. If we can get rid of Celesteela, it goes crazy on them. And a Nasty Plot 3 attack Zoroark. So we're gonna jump right into this one just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna lead with my Comfey as he's gonna lead with the Kyurem. Now, this is kind of one of my better checks to Kyurem in all honesty. So in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, you probably don't want to stay in and take a Draining Kiss. So what I'm going to do this turn is I'm going to U-turn. We're going to 1, see whether we're faster, and 2, see that he stays in. Which really does make me think that this is a little bit of an unorthodox Kyurem right here. So I'm going to hard switch back into Comfey just because I don't want to take any damage on my thing. Earth Power is going to bounce off of us, and I'm going to go for a Draining Kiss this turn, saying, he's going to stay in apparently. As you see, that does 15%. I know Comfey isn't the strongest thing in the world, but we were decently invested in Pixie Plate, so that tells me that this is like max Spadef Kyurem, like AV Kyurem. Like, this thing is ridiculously bulky in this matchup. So that's very interesting because I thought Kyurem just body bagged me, just regular offensive set. But regardless, it's not super threatening because I'm okay with losing my Comfey if it means that I can chip this thing down and, you know, chip it in range of other things on my team. As I am going to throw off a Calm Mind as he does go for another Ice Beam, and I'm going to try and Draining Kiss off some of that damage back. It's a +1 Draining Kiss does 25% to that Kyurem. As he's going to reveal the Fusion Bolt. Again, completely fine. I'm not going to be able to knock him out this next Draining Kiss, but this Pokemon isn't needed to win this game. It's nice for the Umbreon, but we have plenty other to break the Umbreon, so I'm not super worried about that aspect of it. As the Kyurem is going to be able to knock us out, I'm going to go into Barraskewda. I'm going to just throw off a big CC as he does go into Tapu Fini. Pretty expected, but this will let me gauge and see what his item is. If he shows Lefty, I know that I can probably chip him in range of Poison Jab a little bit later on, as he is going to show Lefties, I'm sorry, which is obviously good for us to know and all that good stuff. As I am going to go into the Gengar, expecting potentially a Moonblast or something, as he's going to double into Kyurem, which is completely fine if I hit my Focus Blast. As you're going to see, I do. So that's obviously really good for us. We're not going to have to sack Gengar for no reason there, as he is going to go into the Tapu Fini this turn, which is, again, very interesting because I can just throw off a Sludge Wave. Maybe he thought it was Choice or something like that, but he's going to throw off a Moonblast, get a special attack drop, which is, again, unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world, because what this is going to basically allow us to do is put that thing in range of a Barraskewda, like, and guarantee the rest of the game. It's not going to get back enough Lefties to really be at a range of a, you know, an Life Orb, Poison Jab, or anything like that. As he is going to go silly on our Sludge Wave, which is completely fair. I'm going to go Barraskewda, just try and pressure this thing, as he does go for the Autotomize, which is very scary, as he is going to go for an Energy Ball, as I actually revealed to... Wow, I just hold on, we got to address that. I just faked out myself. I thought I actually went hard Barraskewda on this thing. I went to Zoroark to basically just sack it and get some Dark Pulse chip off, as apparently I told him to as he went for the Energy Ball. I just fooled the crap out of myself. Good lord. I'm recording these all in like really quick succession, so oops. As I am gonna get some Dark Pulse chip on this, unfortunately no Flamethrower, but that's completely fine. He's going to be able to Flash Cannon, that's knock us out, get a special attack boost. So this thing's looking pretty scary. But showing that he's special attack boosting, I know I can live any Earthquake from this thing, as I am going to go into Lantern. I know I can live this Energy Ball as well, because I'm pretty Spadef. And I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch, as he does reveal the Energy Ball. Does a lot to us, but you're going to see here that he's actually going to be Wakan, which is honestly not the biggest deal in the world, because being this thing's only +2, I can go right out into Barraskewda and just click Liquidation, and this thing's gonna drop. He doesn't have good switch into Barraskewda at this point, like, at all. So we're looking in a pretty good position, honestly. He's gonna go into the Virizion here, which was very interesting because maybe he just didn't expect Poison Jab to just raw kill, but it does indeed raw kill, which is super good. We're going to take a little bit more Life Orb chip, which is obviously really nice, and we're going to just really break through our opponent's team at this point. He's going to go Umbreon. Now, this is a play that I definitely do regret right here. I'm going to stand and go for the close combat. I knew that this did not kill, even if he was Spadef, just because of the fact of how bulky Umbreon is, and I should have saved this in the back because it auto-won once I got any chip on this. I always outsped the Typhlosion Rain, and I always, you know, killed the Fini from the range of that. So this was definitely not a good play by me. This was me kind of overlooking my end game and not really thinking like, I'm like, Lucha wins, I'm fine. So I was kind of just trying to sack this to get into Lucha. So you're going to see I do throw off close combat, and he's going to throw off a foul play, which is unfortunate because that is definitely going to be able to knock us clean out due to how frail Barraskewda is and the -1 defense and all that stuff. So down goes Barra, and in my mind, I'm thinking, word, I just go into Lucha and win, which should be true. It really should be, because I'm going to go in, I'm going to get my defense boost, and I'm going to sword chance up. He's going to go for Toxic, which, you know, sucks, not the best thing in the world. But I should have plenty enough turns to potentially be able to take this game home. As I am going to throw off a big Drain Punch here, get it, you know, that good 6% right back to lose it to Toxic the turn after, and be in a pretty good position. Now, this is where not being prepared for this game or this league really does come into play. As he's going to go Feeny, I'm just going to click Acro, clean knock this thing out, and like, we're 3-0 win. Awesome, that's good. He can go out into Slide Flosion, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. We should be able to clean knock that thing out. This is where the unpreparedness comes, because like I said in pregame, this thing is part electric, and I did not know that when I was playing the game, and I just said, word, I'm clicking Acro, this thing's fire type, and I'll kill it. It's not, it's an electric type too, so you're gonna see, based on this damage, Drain Punch definitely would have killed, as we do 64 even with a +2 resisted hit, as he is gonna be able to throw off a Wild Charge, completely knock us out, and unfortunately, that's going to be enough to just kind of clean up this game. Our Gengar wasn't faster than this thing, unfortunately. He's gonna throw off an Earthquake. We're gonna disable the Earthquake, but like, doesn't matter just because of the fact that our Lantern is so low. So this is again just a matter of me kind of losing sight of a more safe end game with our Barraskewda, where I should have just maybe sacked my Gengar or something like that earlier in the game, and then gone into Lucha and broke, and then gone Barra after. And also that on top of that being the Lucha, you know, not paying attention or really paying attention and prep to the Typhlosion, the Mega Typhlosion, stuff like that in the back. So that's 100% on me, not on Aaron. He played the game fine. Very interesting team he brought, actually. It really threw me off guard with the Max Spadef AV Kyurem. The thing freaking chewed from Comfey. But that's going to be our first L of the season, unfortunately. We're going to try and have to hopefully bounce back week after. But yeah, we'll see when we jump right into that one. For week 8, we ended up going up against, I believe his name was Ishtar. Very, very scary team that they had. They had the Mega Butterfree, which is a crazy, crazy offensive setup threat with the Quiver Dance. It's ridiculously fast and ridiculously strong in this meta. It has a little bit of trouble finding the opportunity to set up other than forcing switches, but if it does, things are looking really tough. Fernape ripped my team apart. And then just great defensive checks to the majority of my team. Clef plus Corsola. It was really hard for my team to break. We do have a Gengar, which obviously does so very, very well, but still really annoying when he has a T-Tar in the back as well. So very good defensive synergy for this matchup that my opponent has, but I think we have a team to take it on. We have a pretty offensive 4 attacks, Lantern, as per usual, just dual stabs plus Ice Beam or something like that, honestly. We have a Taunt SD Lucha, which is actually really good in this matchup. We're Drain Punch, Acrobatics, Taunt SD. We have a Life Orb 4 attacks Barraskewda with Aqua Jet, again, to potentially pick off that Butterfree because it is so frail, but obviously really fast. If it gets up to +2 or something really crazy, we can always prevent that with an Aqua Jet. We have a really cool Seismitoad. I believe we are Stealth Rock, Surf, Toxic, Infestation, just try and trap some things and really annoy his team, like the T-Tar trying to get up rocks on us or something like that because it knows it can live a hit, or the Corsola or something like that if it can trap those and deal with them that way. That's obviously super clutch for us. We have a Hurricane, U-Turn, Roost, Taunt, Noivern that does really well in this game, just kind of stopping his fat from being annoying. And then we have a Colbert Berry, Nasty Plot, Gengar with 3 attacks, Dual Stabs plus Focus Blast, obviously going to take on the T-Tar, and it actually breaks his team phenomenally. If we can get rid of the 2 faster things, being Jolteon and Butterfree, we'd actually be in a really good spot to potentially shoot the Gengar. But yeah, let's jump right into this one. You're going to see it, and we'll lead off with good old reliable Lantern, and just try and pivot around and see what we can do from here. So he's going to lead off with Jolteon. Honestly, I'm completely fine with this. He's going to stay and go for the Hidden Power Grasp. The reason I stayed on Mega is in case he wanted to Volt Switch out, and I was Volt Absorb with this thing, so obviously that would have been good. But we're going to be able to Naga Burn, which is obviously really nice for us. I'm going to try and, save a little bit of health from this thing, as I am going to hard switch out as he switches out into the Corsola. We're going to go to a Noivern, obviously Fist the Eviolite, which is what I expected, and we're going to Taunt here, because I'm not super worried about anything this really wants to go for. Offensively, we can always, stop that Stealth Rock or that Strength Stab, Will-O-Wisp, all that good stuff, and U-Turn out on it the next turn. Which is what we're going to do. I'm going to go into my Seismitoad and kind of attempt to trap this thing, which would obviously be, like, super clean for us, but I want to make sure I get the Toxic off first, because obviously a Toxic on this thing would be great. He's going to go into Butterfree. And getting the toxic on this thing is going to be nice because we can eventually put it in range of our Bearskew's Aqua Jet, which is super, super plain for us. As I am going to pivot out into the Noivern, and you're going to see this thing is ridiculous. As it does Mega Evolve, it's going to throw off a Quiver Dance, and oh man, this thing's strong. We're really bulky Noivern. This is my main check, and I said, I could probably have a hit, but he's going to throw off the Hidden Power Ice, and that's definitely not going to work for us. We're definitely going to draw for that one, unfortunately, as he does go down to 64 after the Toxic, though. In my head, I'm thinking, word, I can go Bearskew to potentially revenge this thing. I'm going to go for the Aqua Jet, and unfortunately not knock it out, as he is going to go for a Psychic. Oh, we were banded, not Life Orb. So, regardless, though, we're going to be able to take him out with the Toxic, but it does suck that we had to sack 2 Mullins just to take this thing out. It puts us on the back foot pretty considerably here, as he is going to go into the core store right here, as I do get out my Lantern, just throw off a free Volt Switch. Not the biggest thing, though. I get my Mega off, which is really important, in my opinion, just so I can potentially set up for an endgame with Lucha, which is also looking really good here, if we can just get Chip on that Clef, provided that it is Magic Guard, not Unaware. So, gonna go out into Toad right here, as he does just elect to get up his Rocks, which is, again, completely fine, not too worried about that, as he is going to elect to switch out as I throw off a Toxic into the Jolteon. I'm assuming this was mostly just to sack it, as I am gonna go for an Infestation, just to try and trap in that, course, as I figured maybe he'd go into that, maybe he'd go into the T-Tar or something of the sorts, but not the biggest deal, as he is going to go for a Sunny Day, which I thought was very interesting, because I'm going to go for a Surf. It's not going to do too much, this thing, but Burn plus Infestation is definitely going to knock it out, so that was very interesting, especially because he goes into the T-Tar the next turn, so I don't know exactly what he was trying to accomplish there. Maybe he just didn't have Hidden Power Grass, and that was his best move to click, as he is going to go into T-Tar. I'm going to Toxic this, because I see this as my opening to weaken this thing for my Gengar winning in this endgame, like, pretty easily. So I'm just going to throw off that Toxic right there. I'm going to take in the next turn to throw off a big Surf and chip it down that way. He's going to throw off yet another Crunch. This thing is, I believe, going to be AV in this matchup. Did we frisk it earlier? I need to check now. No, we didn't. I'm kind of thinking ahead. Oops, spoilers. We're going to throw off one more Surf, though, and as he knocks out with the Crunch, we're going to be able to knock him out with the Toxic and kind of trade 1 for 1 for this thing, which obviously, we're not going to knock him out. But we're going to go pretty close to trading 1 for 1 at the very least. As I'm going to go into my Lantern, we're going to reset the Rain / Electric Terrain, and I'm going to Volt Switch out this next turn, as I am going to just be able to go out into my Gengar right here, which is obviously really, really good for us. This thing puts on a lot of pressure on my opponent's team, as he's going to go on the Infernape, and this screams Choice Scarf, so I'm going to have to pick a sack here. Honestly, I probably should have gone Lucha, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not the biggest deal in the world. As the turn after, I'm going to be able to go into my Hawlucha, because that does obviously give me some free setup. And in my mind, I'm thinking, word, I could potentially win this. My way of winning this is me thinking, if he goes into Corsola, which he does, I Sword Stance up this turn, and the next turn I immediately taunt, because it stops him from Willowing me, Strike Sapping me, all that good stuff. And then I can get up to +4 and potentially knock out a Fizz Def Clef, which is obviously really, really good for us. As you're going to see, he is taunted. I am going to throw off one more Sword Stance, and in my mind, I'm thinking, word, that should be enough, and I should be able to clean up this game. He's going to throw off a Nightshade, and we're definitely going to be able to knock this thing out from 75 with an Acro, as it does just drop. Thankfully, we do not get Curse Bodied either, as he's going to go Cleft, and I'm like, we're just click Acrobatics, but unfortunately, we do see right here that he is, in fact, unaware, which is definitely a good break for him, being that Lucha was so good versus his team. Makes a lot of sense. He's unfortunately going to be able to knock us out with the Moonblast, and this kind of puts us in a checkmate position if he is going to be Scarf Infernape, unfortunately, just because of the fact that, you know, he'll always be a lot of speed to knock us out from this range, as I am going to throw off a Nasty Plot, just to guarantee that if he is not Scarf Ape, we will be able to knock him out at +2, as he's going to throw off a Wish. I'm just going to throw off a Sludge Wave, knock out the Clef, and we're going to bring this down to a 1v1 situation versus the Infernape. Unfortunately, you're going to see, though, this thing is most definitely Scarf, and it's fast enough. It's going to be able to pick us off with an Earthquake, and we're going to lose 1-0 in this pretty tight matchup. So unfortunately, we dropped 2 straight. After a nice 6-0 start, we dropped 6-2, which is definitely unfortunate. Not the end of the world. This isn't playoffs or anything. We can definitely bounce back, but obviously we want to do so soon and kind of get back into form before playoffs start here pretty soon. So let's see if we can do that in the next game. Alright, so after our last LPH we ended up getting a forfeit win the week after, which, you know, broke our streak, if you want to, you know, call it, you know, breaking our streak, I guess. It's kind of a cheap way to break a streak, a losing streak or whatever, but it put a W on the board, which is obviously really nice for us. Moving us into the last week against Cody here, and Cody was actually at the top of the league at this point. He was completely undefeated. I believe he was 10-0. I think it was an 11-week season, unless I'm tripping. But regardless, he was undefeated up to this point, and originally we were just going to kind of, you know, meme it out, because we were likely playoff opponents, and didn't really want to reveal too much. I know I didn't for sure, but completely understandable. Sorry, Cody hit me up. And he said, "Hey man, I know I said meme game, but I really want to shoot for the undefeated record. Is there any way we can have a semi-serious game?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Thanks for letting me know," which is completely understandable. If you're going on an undefeated season, you want to push for that, not lose it to a meme season or a meme game or something like that. So completely understandable. So we did bring a team that wasn't necessarily my best build, but it's very fast. Wasn't necessarily my best build, but would help me kind of scout and see what his initial thoughts looking at my team were and stuff like that. So. Looking at it, we have a Rock Seismitoad. This is going to be our obligatory Dracovish check. We have Rain, so we're giving that thing Rain, which is terrifying. Everything else on our team just drops to it pretty much, so we're going to have to be very careful around that thing. But we do have a Seismitoad, which is a great check to it. We have a Mega Lantern again, 4 attacks, Volt Switch, Thunder, Scald, and Ice Beam, which is really solid in this matchup. Helps me check his Mega Flygon Y, which I forgot to mention is his Mega. Helps us check the Skarmory, which is also pretty dope, and puts on a lot of offensive pressure. And it helps us check the Victini as well, which Victini can be very annoying for us. We have a Comfey with, I believe, U-Turn, Draining Kiss, Defog, and 4th move being Aromatherapy or Leechy, something like that. I believe he had a Komodo on the build as well, and I wanted to have that priority for that, and it also gives me a check to the Mega Flygon, which I think is really important because that thing is a monster. We have a 4 attacks, Life Orb, Barraskewda, which does really well here. A pretty offensive Gengar. I think we might have been just Life Orb in this matchup. I completely forget because I revised the team on the other team when I played him later in playoffs, which we'll get to in a minute. So I don't have the original set of that. So unfortunately don't have that. And then we have a Specs Noivern, because if you look at my opponent's team, once we get rid of Skarmory, I think Noivern is incredibly free to just go crazy under rain, just throw Hurricanes and Dragon Pulse and stuff like that. Especially Dragon Pulse once this thing's gone. The Skarmory and stuff like that. We have Flamethrower for it as well if we catch it outside of the rain. But main goal is going to be chip down Skarmory and kind of go to work from there. So we're gonna jump into the game right here. He is going to lead off with his, what do you call it? It's gone slow. His Flygon, which is obviously really nice for us. Because my Lantern is a decent check to this thing. He is going to Mega first turn, as I am just going to Mega myself. I'm going to throw off a big old Ice Beam because I want to chip this thing as much as possible. He's going to throw off a Boom Burst, and that is a 2-hit KO. This thing is ridiculously strong with that Infectate ability. As I'm going to pivot out, not even try and Volt Switch. I'm going to switch out into my Comfey, trying to, check this thing, keep it at bay, as that's just 49 on a resist to a Comfey, which has a pretty hefty Spit F stat, which is really scary, as that's going to do a lot, as I am just going to U-turn here on the obvious switch to Nidoking, which is really nice, because this allows me to drop in my Barraskewda, which allows me to drop in a kill, because he does not switch into this Pokemon whatsoever on this build. So I'm just going to throw off a Liquidation, not too scared of really anything he could really do, as he goes into Scarm, and that is Spud Def Scarm, because that took 73 in rain, which is pretty ridiculous. I had a lot of fun using Barraskewda to fight it, despite it being pretty overrated, honestly. Just in the grand scheme of things, is he's going to pivot Dracovish, and that's not going to take too much, obviously being the 4 times resist at this, but it gives me a pretty free Toad, which I'm not too worried about. He's going to throw off an Earthquake, just getting some chip off, which is definitely fair, letting him kind of scout and see what my item is and all that good stuff, what my spread is, as I'm going to just get up my rocks this next turn, as he does go into the Superior. I thought about Toxicking on the obvious Superior, but not the biggest deal in the world. I still do have my Noivern, and I have Cleric support on my Comfey otherwise if he wants to glare me later and stuff like that. So he's going to sub. Now, in my mind, I was really close to clicking U-turn here, because in my head, I'm thinking, you saw that I wasn't Frisk, and I'm definitely not Telepathy, so you should think, like, hey, this thing's Infiltrator. It's going to kill me if it hits me with a Hurricane. But I end up just clicking the Hurricane, because I look at his team again. Everything gets 2 tapped off rocks, especially being the Skarmory's weekend, as he does end up staying in and giving me the Surf, which was really crazy, because, again, Surf is really good versus Rain, as he's going to go into the Nidoking, which is unfortunate. Throw off a Sledge Wave on my incoming Comfey, as I do end up just sacking it off, which is a bit scary versus Dracovish plus Mega Flygon Y, but I'm thinking my offense is in a pretty good position in order to take him on, as he does end up throwing off an Earth Power, doing 67, so this thing is definitely super Life Orb, as I throw off a big Scald, do 73%, and actually do end up getting a burn on it, and it's going to bring it down to 10, which is obviously really nice, puts me in a pretty decent position, as he's going to throw off a Sludge Wave, finish us off, and drop down to a good 4% for us. So obviously in range of literally anything we want to go into, and I'm going to go into my Noivern here, because again, look at my opponent's team, and now that this thing is weakened, look at Dragon Pulse. Victini doesn't have anything to actually knock me out at this point, which is crazy. Even Glacier doesn't knock me out from this range, and I can only switch out the turn after. We knock out Dracovish, we knock out Skarmory, we knock out Flygon. So in my head, I'm thinking, hey, let's go into Noivern and see what we can do. So we're going to go in there, we're going to click a Dragon Pulse, knock that thing out. He goes into Skarmory, is at 20%. This thing is dropping, which is really cool. Down it goes, 100%. So Noivern is just putting in the utmost right now. It's insane. He's going to go into Victini right here, and after rocks, this is definitely a 2-hit KO, as he is gonna, I am gonna throw off a Dragon Pulse. He's decently bulking on this thing as well, as he's gonna throw off a Psychic, which actually isn't even a 2-hit KO on me, which is pretty nuts. I'm gonna be able to pick this thing off with the Dragon Pulse, and we're actually gonna get a clean 6 kills with our Specs Noivern, which is pretty disgusting. Being able to kind of give us a nice little momentum push right into playoffs with a really cool sweep on the back of Noivern, which is really cool. It secured us a round 1 bye as well, which is really cool for us as well, because we got the 2 seed right behind Mr. Cody here, and that's gonna kind of make our trudge onwards a lot more easier for us. So that's obviously really good. Down goes the what do you call it, the Dracovish, and we're going to be able to take home this game 4-0, and I will be right back with our first game of playoffs. Alright guys, and we are back with our round 1 matchup. We are going up against Ishtar once again, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I 100% brought the same exact team as last time. I totally procrastinated when building, and ended up just bringing the same exact build as the time before, just because, one, like I said, just kind of ran out of time, and 2, I really did think my build was really good this matchup. I think I didn't play very well, and I think if I can kind of position myself around that cleft a little bit better, I can move Lucha in the end game. So that's kind of going to be what we're going for here. As last time, I believe I was, Banded Barra. I was, a defensive toad with like the Infestation Toxic set. It was a 4 attacks, Lantern, Taunt U-Turn, Boost, Hurricane, Noivern, Nasty Plot, Colbert, Gengar, and Taunt SD Lucha. So let's just jump right into this one. See what we can do right here, as I am going to lead off with my Noivern just because it gave me the best information off the rip. We should outspeed literally everything minus the Butterfree, which isn't going to be able to, scare me initially at the very least, as I am going to first the T-Tar, see that it is going to be Assault Vest, and pivot safely into my Seismitoad. What I'm going to do right here is pivot out. This covered the double into Amoonguss, the switch into Moongus, and it also covered a potential Hidden Power Grass from an AV T-Tar, which is obviously really good for us. So he is going to throw off the Hidden Power. It's going to do literally nothing to us here, as I am going to U-turn once again, back out into Seismitoad, because I don't think you're going for it twice, as he is going to get off a big Rock Slide chip, which is definitely unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world. As this turn, he is going to get in the Amoonguss on my Toxic, which is unfortunate, but I do have decent pivots into this thing. I'm not super worried about it. I don't think he's going to be Spore, just because of the fact that I do have Electric Terrain on my side, as he does throw off a Toxic as I go into my Gengar, and I see this as an opportunity to set up a Nasty Plot and potentially break through my opponent's team, as he does reveal the Foul Play. It was unfortunate because it pops or Colbert, but T-Tar is actually in range of a +2 Focus Blast at this point. So right here, the game's going a little too fast, so we should kind of talk. And get it to +2, and in his mind, he probably doesn't want to let Amoonguss get chipped, because Amoonguss is really good at checking half of my team. It's amazing at checking the Barraskewda, the Seismitoad, and the Lantern. The whole top row, it just deals with super well. So I totally get him not wanting to sack that there. So I'm going to throw off the, after I throw up the Nasty Plot, I would definitely 2-hit KO him, and he doesn't know it goes there, obviously, with Foul Play. So I assumed he'd want to sack something. I assumed maybe he'd go into T-Tar and hope I missed the Focus Blast or something like that, but he's actually going to go Ape. And if this thing was Scarf like last time, this was a big stop to my team, and it did really well versus me. So I'm completely fine with the Ape going down to our +2 Sludge Wave right there. Really good for us. He's going to go into Butterfree, throw off a big Psychic on our Lantern, as I know I can take 2 of those, especially in my Mega form, as I am going to Mega up this turn, and just throw off a big Volt Switch on the Amoonguss, which is awesome. It's going to put him kind of in the cycle of Volturnin action on our, from our Noivern plus our Lantern, as he's going to go Corsola on our U-turn, which is obviously fine. I'm going to go out into Gengar, because I figured, hey, let's put on some offensive pressure. I'm going to throw up another Nasty Plot, and hopefully hit a Focus Blast on this T-Tar. We throw it off, and we do connect, and this thing just drops, which is obviously super cool for us. Down goes T-Tar, which is another annoying mod. It takes away our rain, potentially, lets us essentially win the weather war at the very least. As he is going to go into Butterfree, throw off another Psychic. I'm going to pivot Lantern and then go right out into Toad, because again, I don't want to lose this thing necessarily, as he does just Quiver Dance on my face, which I was very surprised about, because if I just Volt Switched and went out into Barraskewda, I killed this thing. But regardless, I'm going to be able to live one hit from this thing as long as it wasn't eligible, and I didn't see that in this matchup very, to be honest, as I am going to be able to throw off a Toxic into a Surf, and even at +2, that Surf is 45 in the rain, which is obviously super clean for us. I'm completely fine with letting my Toad go down here. Not the biggest deal in the world. So I'm going to go into Barraskewda, which I'm screaming that I'm clicking Aqua Jet right here. There's not much I can do with it. He does pivot onto a move just to save that thing for later. Again, completely fair. At least saving the sack is really nice, and I can use to get one more kill later. Because I am going to pivot onto Noivern this turn right here, expecting on the Amoonguss clicking Foul Play and stuff like that. And I can just throw off a free Hurricane, kind of gauge damage on the Clef, do a little bit of damage to it, and then U-turn out the following turn into my Gengar, and hopefully, again, put on some offensive pressure, man, as he is going to go into Amoonguss, as I just throw off a Sludge Wave. Part of me wishes that I Nasty Plot this turn because there was no way he was staying in, but I didn't Nasty Plot this turn as he just throw off a Foul Play. Again, I think it's a little too late. Again, wasn't the best play on my end, not Nasty playing the turn before, because I could have 2-hit KO'd this thing and claimed a KO at this point. But regardless, we're going to get a little bit on this Amoonguss and at least force it out while it needs to, obviously get some regen health back, because I am going to force in the Corsola. It's going to get the Curse Body, but I'm going to taunt it, make sure it can't get it rocks or anything like that. And I'm going to U-turn on out into my Barraskewda because I know this thing can't, beat me 1v1 if it's taunted, obviously. So I'm going to double out into Noivern, expecting the Amoonguss to come in, as it does end up coming right back in, which is obviously fine because it's Hurricane time. We get off a big Hurricane, get off a big hit. He is going to get confused and hit himself, which is unfortunate. I don't know what he would have clicked there. Potentially Toxic, probably. He definitely would have clicked Toxic. Not the biggest deal, but he's going to pivot out here. I do miss my next Hurricane, so I guess it's a bit of justice, as I do taunt this thing as it throws off a Nightshade, which is definitely unfortunate. I'm going to roost off this damage right here as he throws off one more Nightshade, and then I'm going to U-turn out the following turn, I believe. Yeah, so we do U-turn out right there and get into our Lantern. In my mind, I'm going to throw off a big Thunder. I figured he might want to stay in and get off a Wish or something like that, and I can punish it with some damage, kind of scout and see how much this is doing, as he's going to show to be pretty spadef after the Hurricane and Thunder damage. As right here, he is going to try and pass the Wish into Amoonguss. I'm going to Volt Switch. I thought about Ice Beaming on the Switch, but honestly, it didn't kill, so there wasn't too much of a point, as it does give me a free switch into my Noivern, which is obviously super clean, as I am going to taunt this thing. Expecting him to want to stay in and get off a Toxic on us, because he did stay in last time. I'm going to throw off one more Hurricane to get clean 24% off on this Corsola. Taunt it once again, which is obviously nice. We're kind of stopping this thing from really setting up, as I am going to roost up as he goes into the Fable. Very, very fair turn. And this is kind of just getting into a cycle where I'm trying to position myself in a way to get Lucha in the end game, because if I can get Lucha in, I can kind of just win. If I just find an opportunity to get it in on the Corsola or the Amoonguss, we'll be in a good spot. So that's what I kind of try to do here, but he ends up just kind of leaving in his Fable, unfortunately, as I am going to go into my Barraskewda as he just throw up the Wish, as I figured he'd go and throw up the Wish. I didn't think he'd move past our thing right there. I figured that was a pretty drawbackless play, but I am going to just continuously spam Liquidation. Now, this play really did surprise me. So he obviously goes for the Protect, which is really fair. Obviously getting this thing back healthy, so it's useful again later and stuff like that. However, this next turn, he elects to stay in and let me kill the Clef. And again, this is amazing. This opens up my Lucha 150%. I don't think I could have won this game if I didn't get that kill on the Fable, obviously, with something else on our team, because our team just didn't break it very well at all. I needed Barraskewda in order to kill it, and he gave it to me. So we're in a really good position here. Like a really, 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 really good position, as he is going to go into the Corsola on my U-turn from Noivern. There's a couple turns here past, but again, like I said, this is literally just kind of playing the waiting game and trying to position myself into my Lucha on a turn where I don't have to worry about a Will-O-Wisp or a Toxic or anything like that at this point. As he is going to throw off a Strength Sap on our Noivern, and they do pivot it in, literally just to throw off the taunt. Which again, I know he's going to go for the Nightshade, but I want to taunt this thing before my Lucha comes in, as he is going to go just hard Butterfree, as I do actually roost off this turn. I probably should have U-turned that turn, honestly, but not the biggest deal. I'm going to go in, I'm going to sack my Barraskewda, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, because what this is going to allow me to do is get a free switch into my, oh man, no, that was totally bad positioning on my end. I'm trying to justify it, but that was bad positioning. I'm going to go into my Lantern and try and throw off a Scald, maybe bait this thing into knocking me out, as he does just go for a Strength Sap, which is a bit unfortunate, but again, as long as I can get my Lucha in on a turn where I know I'm not getting Strength Sapped, or I know I'm not getting Will-O-Wisp or something like that, as he is going to get up his Rocks this turn, I should be completely fine, as he is going to go for the Nightshade on my Noivern's taunt right here, and I believe this please tell me this is the turn in which I go Lucha. Yeah, so I finally go Lucha after dancing around this thing for way too long, honestly. Played the early game great, but that end game, that was pretty ugly and hard to watch. But I am going to throw off an SD, as he does throw off one more Nightshade. And I'm going to be able to just throw off an Acrobatics here, as we do clean knock out the Porcelain. Do not get Curse Bodied. However, even if we did get Curse Bodied, I think we won with, what do you call it, Lantern plus Noivern in the back, unless, you know, some really unforeseen circumstances happen. So we are going to be able to kind of redeem ourselves and beat Ishtar here in our first game of the playoffs. This was actually semifinals for our division, which is really, really cool. So we're moving on to finals against Cody, nonetheless, the first seed that we played in the final week of the regular season. So hopefully we can, you know, take another game from him like we did in regular season. I don't think it'll be as easy as regular season was, because obviously I don't think he was bringing his best team either, trying to preserve some stuff. But we did too. We had some cool stuff up our sleeves. So hopefully we can nab one from him there and grab ourselves a cool little title. Alright guys, here we are with the GPL Canalave finals. We're going up against Cody, like I said previously. Very, very scary team. He brought a very different build from last time. The first three are the same as last time, but he ended up bringing the Swampert, Starmie, and Aromatisse this time, which is very, very scary for us. Aromatisse in particular is very hard for this team that we built to break, because we are incredibly special base. So that thing's going to be really annoying. We're going to be hardcore relying on Barraskewda this game to really break through my opponent's team. That being said, Barraskewda goes nuts this game. Like, it goes crazy, especially because I'm expecting that Aromatisse to be heavily Spadef because of the fact that Noivern just 6-tapped my opponent last time. So we're gonna have to, you know, play around it subsequently and be smart. We have the same exact Barraskewda set as last time, same exact, what do you call it, Lantern set as last time, same exact Comfey, except we don't have Calm Mind. We have Defog on this one, and Aromatherapy. We're Defog, Aromatherapy, U-turn, Draining Kiss. We have the same exact Seismitoad set. We have a Boots, what do you call it? Are we Boots, Taunt, U-turn, Hurricane, or something like that? We're still pretty offensive on our Noivern, but we're definitely not Specs. And then we have a Double Dance Weakness Policy, Necro, with Calm Mind, Autotomized Weakness Policy, with a Psychic plus, what do you call it? Oh my goodness. Psychic plus Signal Beam. Signal Beam is the last move that we have. So that's obviously really nice for us. I think that's a really good win on this game. I think Barraskewda is really good as well. So we're going to have to see what we can do around this thing. Again, the Mega Flygon's really scary. The Aromatisse is really hard for us. And we don't switch into the Starmie very well, actually, in the rain here. So we're going to have to be careful around that thing. So he's going to lead off with Superior as I lead off with Comfey. Honestly, I'm completely fine with this. He is going to just throw off a Substitute, which is very interesting because if you remember last game, this exact scenario happened where I got to switch into my Noivern as this thing threw up a Substitute, and I really contemplated going for a U-turn. So I said, word, I'm Infiltrator. You should know that you should save your Superior because it's really scary versus my team. But I ended up just throwing off a Hurricane because, again, the team doesn't really appreciate it. It lets me gauge damage on the Aromatisse if that's what he wants to go into and all that good stuff. So I am just going to throw off a Hurricane right here, as he does end up staying in, and he gives me the Superior. So I'm completely fine with that. Superior, again, was a big threat to me. He's going to go into the Aromatisse as I throw off a big U-turn, which is obviously really nice for us. He's going to throw off a Moonblast, do a decent chunk to us, but you're going to see we're going to throw off another Calm Mind, as I believe he throws up a Wish, just to kind of see what we want to do. And this is really good, because we're going to throw off another Calm Mind. And you're going to see the Mega Flygon come in here, and you're going to think, oh, well, this thing just revenges you. No, it doesn't, because we aren't Weakness Policy, and I was completely wrong before. We are Tangaberry, and it's just now coming back into my mind. We are Tangaberry specifically for this instance, so that we can either kill this thing or set up to +2 on it or something like that with our Autotomize. So he's going to bring this thing in. He's going to throw off a Return, showing us that he is a physical set, making me think that he is most definitely going to be Dragon Dance. But we chew that. We're able to get up and Autotomize, and we're able to throw off a big +2 Psychic on this thing. So we throw off a Psychic, doing a lot to the Victini. Not the biggest deal in the world. As we throw off a Signal Beam, unfortunately, not knocking it out, and that's insane. I really, really thought that would knock that out based off the psychic damage. And I thought we might just win the game raw off the rip right there. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the case this time, as the Victini does end up just chewing that hit for God knows why. This thing might have been AV or something crazy like that, because I want to know the roll on that. Because 42 from Psychic into 49 from Signal Beam, I know it's a weaker move and not stab, but the other one's not very effective. So I'll have to look at that after, because I'm actually really curious about that now that I'm looking back on it. But Nonetheless, he's going to be able to live, but we did punch a pretty sizable hole through that Victini, which is obviously nice. And so I'm going to go into Northern. I know I can knock that thing out with a U-turn for 9% at -1 defense, so I'm going to throw off that as he does go into the Aromatisse. As I go into my Lantern right here, and I believe I just throw off a big old Surf. Or no, I throw off a Volt Switch just kind of gauge and see what this thing also would do. Like I said, our main issue this game is going to be trying to break through that Aromatisse and not really allowing it to come in and just wish detect all over everything right now. So I am going to get up my rocks in the face of this Swampert as I go into my Toad. I'm going to throw off a Toxic, which is unfortunate because I do miss, and I would have loved an extra turn Toxic on this thing, and he does get up his own rocks, which is really fine because he does let me get the Toxic the next turn. So we get the Poison off nonetheless, despite it being a turn late, honestly. But not the biggest deal in the world. We're going to be able to throw off one more hit and see what we can do from there. As he does end up going for a Roar as we go for an Earth Power into the Barraskewda, which is unfortunate because this thing definitely doesn't knock it out from this range, and I really need that Mon. So what I'm going to do is sack my Seismitoad to the rocks as he does end up just clicking Earthquake. He's going to be pretty chipped at this point, and I'm going to go into my Noivern, knowing that I can just throw off a pretty free Hurricane right here and kind of gauge damage on this Aromatisse, as it only takes 32 from that Hurricane, which is unfortunate because we're modest and pretty decently invested. So that's not looking too good for your boy right here. So I'm gonna go into my Lantern right here, kind of just see what we can do as he just off the Wish and Tech, so we know that he's Wish, Tech, Moonblast, and all that good stuff. So good Steel type would have said hello to this Aromatisse, but we did not bring one of those this week, unfortunately. As right here, I am gonna go for he's gonna go for a Wish as I go for a Surf. Actually gonna crit. Fortunately, don't kill it. As he's gonna reveal the Heal Bell as his final move. Which is, again, unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world because we don't need the Swampert Toxic in order to beat it. It's chipped enough from the Toxic before, so not too bad, honestly. As he is going to switch out into the Starmie on our Comfey, as I believe I just throw off a U-turn. I kind of just wanted to use it as a pivot, kind of see what we could do. As he is going to get into the Starmie, like I said, I'm going to throw off a U-turn on the Starmie and go back out into Comfey because I figure this is probably my best switch in this thing. As he does throw off a Psyshock, he's going to get the 2-hit KO on us. Which is honestly completely fine because I got the chip that I really needed on this thing to kind of put some hurt on it. So I'm going to go into Lantern. I'm just going to click the Volt Switch. If he wants to go into Pert, I believe it's in range of Surf after Rocks, potentially. And I can't knock this out from this range. So he's going to throw off the Thunder. It's going to bounce off of our Lantern, and we're going to be able to Volt Switch on out of there into our own Barraskewda, and we're going to be able to put on some hurt, man. This thing's going to claim a couple kills here. There's not much my opponent can do. And they do throw off a Liquidation on the Swampert. We're going to lose a little bit of HP to our Life Orb, and Flygon's going to come in. So this is a really important turn, and I probably should have talked about it a little bit before. So we're going to wait to pause it right when it comes up. Hold on. Boom. Okay. So he's going to send in the Mega Flygon Y. I sat here for like 2 minutes thinking about this turn, I won't lie, because I was looking at the calc, and I did not kill with Ice Fang. I 100% didn't kill. This led me to a pretty scary 50-50, because in my mind, I'm thinking if he DDs, I might lose the game. I might just raw lose the game, because again, I can't knock this thing out even if I come back in the turn after. And he clean sweeps my team up, +1 at this point. So in my head, I'm thinking, I might want to stand and get Ice Fang chip off on it. But if I don't get Ice Fang chip off, if I get Ice Fang chip off and I lose my Barraskewda, I lose to Aromatisse. I can't beat that Pokemon. Like, there's just not much I can do at this point about it if I play against that thing. So, what I'm going to do this turn, I came to the conclusion is I'm going to go into Noivern. The reason I'm going to go into Noivern is because with my boots, I'm actually never knocked out by a Dragon Claw from this thing. Never 100% knocked out. And if he catches me and, makes the really ballsy play of DDing, then honestly, I think he deserves to win. That'd be a pretty nuts play. A really good play if you realize, this thing doesn't kill me. I can DD in its face and just kind of win the game, unless he was scared of the Aqua Jet or something in the back as well, which we almost put on the team this week, but we did not put that on it. So we're in a really precarious situation. I kind of have to hope he just goes for the attack and then I can throw up a Hurricane the next turn or something like that, because in that case, I 150% just win with Barraskewda. Like, the game's over with Barraskewda. That would just be kind of how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot right out into Noivern, and in my head I'm thinking, throws off a Dragon Claw, we're good, but then he crits us. And this should just seal the game, man. There's not much we can do at this point, as I am going to go onto my Lantern, hoping I can live a return. I don't. We're going to just drop to that as well, and I'm going to go into Barraskewda, Last Ditch Effort, throw off an Ice Fang. You're going to see it doesn't kill, but we get the freeze, and that is what we call divine justice, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get the last turn freeze on this Flygon, throw off a liquidation because it guaranteed knocked it out. As he goes into the Aromatisse, he's going to go down to 48, and even after this Protect, he's 150% in range of a liquidation from a Life Orb Barraskewda just because we're so damn strong. Because we're going to throw off that one more hit, knock that sucker clean out, down it goes, and then we're going to be able to pick off the Victini due to Rock. So Barraskewda coming in, clutch this game, getting that last turn freeze on the Noivern. And I would say, like, I'm really sorry, that sucked. Obviously, it did suck, I feel bad that it happened. I bet he was, probably pretty peeved at that. I would have been as well. But it is a little bit of divine justice being the fact that he didn't crit our Noivern coming in, because I figured we made a pretty good mid-ground play going into that and trying to throw off a big Hurricane and putting on a lot of pressure, because if we forced out that Flygon, which we would have, or if he stayed in, hoping we just didn't click the button and we clicked U-turn for some reason, we just won the game with Barraskewda because he was definitely in range of an Ice Fang after after coming in on rocks again. So that's obviously super dope. We're gonna win the Canalave Championship right here. However, like I said earlier, this is a very, very big league. Not only is there Canalave, there's a bunch of other divisions and stuff like that. And this is kind of all in one big tournament bracket, and the winner of Canalave is going to go against the winner of other divisions and stuff like that. So our work is not done yet. We can still potentially go on and keep winning and doing well, as we're going to jump into our top 8 game of the tournament, of that championships bracket and all that good stuff. So I'll be right back with that. All right, guys, here we are with our top 8 match against Cron. Very, very scary team that he ends up having. He has Zeraora, which, as you saw when we played, who was it? And who did we play that had Zera earlier this season? It was the guy who had Mega Infernape. I've been recording this for the last couple hours, like, over time, and I completely forgot who it was already. Was it Hernan Chan? I think it was that guy. But regardless, Zera, kind of rips our team a new one. He has Lando T, which is obviously really, really good versus us. If you look at the team we have, we're very, very Lando T weak. If we ends up getting up like a Rock Polish and Barraskewda's gone or something like that, we actually kind of just lose to Lando, which is definitely less than ideal. Ratsu is really annoying for us depending on the set, and then his Mega is terrifying versus us in the matchup. It's going to be Mega for Alligator. It has access to, I believe it's still Sheer Force, but it has a secondary Ice typing, so it's going to stab on that Ice Punch, that Sheer Force Ice Punch, which makes it absolutely ridiculous to switch into after an SD or a DD or something like that. So we're going to have to be careful around that thing. Absolutely terrified of it. But the team that we're bringing a really cool squad. I actually loved our team for this week. We have a Trick Room Necro with weakness policy with Photon Geyser, Earth Power, Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon was for something. I totally forget what Flash Cannon was for. Nothing here, obviously. But Earth Power obviously hits the Rachi, and Photon Geyser hits everything else in this team really hard. So if we can get some chip on some stuff, we're actually going to be in a really good spot with the Trick Room Necro late game. We have a Choice Scarf Noivern, which is obviously super dope. We are Hurricane, Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, and U-turn. Just good speed control versus my opponent's team, and let's put in a lot of work with that. We are a Choppleberry, Stealth Rock, and Ferrothorn, mostly here for that, the Feraligator. 4 attacks Lantern, pretty standard stuff, what we've been running the whole time. Offensive Barraskewda, I forget if we're Life Orb or banned this week, but we're something of the sorts. It does really well here. And then we're a Colbur-Berry, Will-O-Wisp, Dual Stabs, Icy Wind, Gengar. Colbur-Berry is because he had a Grimmsnarl, and that's what my Flash Cannon was for. I remember now. Just put 2 and 2 together. He had a Grimmsnarl in the build, which I really did expect to come, but it didn't end up coming. It's definitely unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world. Now, something I noticed on team matchup is I kind of underprep for webs. Webs are a little bit annoying for me. I'm going to be completely honest. So that was a little bit scary in all honesty. So I wanted to lead in a way that I kind of dissuaded webs from going up. And I figured my best way to do that was going to be Noivern, because we can bluff the taunt. We can obviously defog. We can always Hurricane it. So it's a pretty good stop to a leader rack when it is. He's going to lead off with the Zeraora. What this is going to allow me to do is U-turn out. We reveal that we're Scarf, but it's not the biggest deal in the world as he does go for the knockoff. I'm going to go into my Lantern, and I believe I just click, I believe I click Scald here. Did I click Scald here? Yeah, we are going to click Scald here on the Rose Raid. It's just a pretty fat chunk to it in the raid, despite having pretty good speed def and stuff like that. And I'm going to pivot out into my Noivern right here, revealing that it does have Yachi Berry, so even if we click Ice Beam, it wasn't the biggest deal in the world, honestly. As he is going to switch out, I believe, this next upcoming turn, as I am going to U-turn out on this Ferrothorn, as he goes into the Zera, which obviously expecting the flying move and that stuff, and going to the Gengar, and I really want to absorb this Chi-Spike, because I don't want the rest of my offense to be, taking that poison chip and stuff like that, especially my Lantern, which is going to be my main check to this, because Ferrothorn is kind of designated to check the for Alligator and stay healthy for that thing. I definitely don't want it knocked off. So he's going to throw off a Volt Switch. Lantern's getting pretty chipped here, but it's not the biggest deal in the world as he does go back out into the Roserade. As I am going to throw off yet another Scald because, again, this is chunking this thing. Even if it's not, doing 1,000,000%, it's still doing a good 26. So I'll take that damage any day of the week as he is going to go for a Leaf Storm on my Gengar switch. And I figured maybe he'd want to go for a Dazzling Gleam there. Expecting our Noivern, but not the biggest deal in the world. I'm going to be able to go to my Gengar, throw a free Shadow Ball as he did not have a resist, but this is going to reveal to be super bulky AV Zera. Like super bulky. As I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn, I'm going to get knocked off this time, which is definitely unfortunate because we're looking a little bit worse against that for Alligator, but as long as we keep our Bear Scooter in the back, I think we should honestly be pretty fine versus it. As he's going to switch out, so I am just going to get up my rocks. I want to, slowly chip his team down over time and all that good stuff. As he's going to throw off a Fire Punch, which I didn't expect. I almost switched out and scouted for it, but I really didn't expect it to come out. As I am going to throw off a Leech Seed and get a little bit of residual health here. As this is going to be kind of time to play the pivot game. As I'm going to go out into Noivern, he is going to throw off one other Fire Punch. No, he's going to throw off a Wish, which is definitely a little annoying as well, but not the worst thing in the world. As I am going to U-turn out here just in case he does have the Ice Punch because he showed a different kind of Elemental Punch, and I want to make sure that I'm not, shafted by that, obviously. As he's going to throw off an Ice Punch, it's going to do 11%, so literally nothing. He's going to take some Barbs, as we're going to get back a little bit of health right here, which is obviously super clean for us. As I am going to pivot out once more into the Mega Lantern, as it covered him going for the Ice Punch and the Fire Punch. Obviously, he's going to go for said Fire Punch, and we're actually going to get back a lot of health as that literally does 2% to us, which is obviously super clean. And we're going to be able to throw off a big Volt Switch in this sense. I don't think he's going to want to go into the Zera right here, just because it's actually one of our better checks for it. As he does go hard Arachnoid and reveal the Wakan Berry, which tells me he probably had, what do you call it on it? He probably had a Mirror Coat on it. I think he showed me after and told me he did have Mirror Coat, so that's obviously, good to pop that so we don't have to worry about that later. So I am going to throw off a Hurricane on the Rachi coming in, which is definitely annoying because this thing's going to be able to throw off a Wish, and it's just going to be a big nuisance for us, honestly, as he is going to throw off said Wish as I go into my Lantern. And we're going to be in a pretty decent spot here, though, because he is going to throw for an Energy Ball, which is a bit unfortunate, especially because he got a crit. That wouldn't have done anything to us otherwise, as I'm going to throw off an Ice Beam, and I really expected the Roserade to come in that time, so I wanted to try and catch it. Fortunately, we didn't. I probably shouldn't have made that play, honestly, just because of the fact that he had a free Wish up, and he definitely wasn't dying to any hits, so not the biggest deal. As he is going to throw off one more Energy Ball. I know it's full moveset now, and I know I have a free Gengar switching to just kind of throw off a Shadow Ball and do some damage here, as I am going to throw off said Shadow Ball, get a lot of damage off on this guy, and be in a pretty OP situation here as the Arachnoid's going to come down. As right now he goes into the Feraligatr, and this is really scary because this one goes crazy versus me. I'm not going to let it start for free. I believe I threw off a Will-O-Wisp just because my Ferrothorn is so freaking weakened at this point, as he does reveal the Aqua Jet, which is definitely unfortunate but not the biggest deal in the world. And the reason I go into my Ferrothorn right here, just to take the superpower and die, I know that looks a little bit sus and a little bit weird, but the reason I did so is because he actually was not in range of our Bearascuda's close combat yet, and I wanted the -1+ Iron Barbs to guarantee that he was in range, even if he was max HP. That kind of guaranteed the roll for us, so I figured that would be our best bet, honestly, to be able to go in and revenge this thing afterwards with this right here. So he is going to go hard out Lando T, which is a very aggressive play, but a very good play on his end, knowing I'm probably going for the close combat. We're going to do only like 16%, which is unfortunate, as our defenses drop. And I'm going to switch out just in case he Scarf, go into the Noivern, kind of see exactly what he wants to go for. And he does end up going for the Defog, which showing me he probably isn't Scarfing. If he's Scarf, Defog. So I'm going to go for a U-turn myself, and I believe I pivot out right into my Lantern, as he does end up staying in and going for an Explosion. So he goes and trades this 1-for-1, which is honestly fine. We're in a really good position for our Necro to just win a landing game. So I'm not super worried at this point, honestly. We just really need to chip that for Alligator, as he does go into the Jirachi right here. As I'm going to go Barraskewda. This is another thing I really need to chip on in order to win with our Necro right here. As I do throw off a Liquidation, he's going to throw off an Energy Ball. It's not going to knock us out, which is super dope, honestly. As he's going to get a little bit of Lefty's back right here, and I'm going to throw off one more Liquidation, be able to bring this thing down super low, as he does end up just going for an Ice Punch, knocking us out, and down goes our Barraskewda. But regardless, I think we're in a pretty good position with our Necro here to come in and set up a Trick Room. I know we'll knock this thing out with an Earth Power, and we'll be in a pretty good spot here. And this Ice Punch is going to do nothing. I know this thing can't really damage me or toxic me or anything like that, honestly. Trick me. anything. So I'm gonna set up the trick room, and we're gonna go to work right here. I'm gonna throw off the earth power. Down goes the Rachi. Like, word, this is looking great. This is looking amazing for us. We're in a great position here, because he doesn't have much that really breaks through this thing either, because we're so bulky. Out here, he's gonna go out into the Feraligatr. I'm gonna throw off a Photon Geyser. I know this won't kill, but regardless, it's gonna be able to hit KO, and we can lift anyone hit from this thing, as he does go for the Ice Punch. Thankfully, he can't freeze us because of the sheer force and stuff like that. Gonna throw off one more Photon Geyser, and down it goes. It's obviously super, super clean for us. He's gonna be forced to sack one more. He chooses it to be the Roadray, which is definitely fair. Throw off one more Photon Geyser. Boom. We're in a great position at this point. Great position. In theory, we should 100% win this game. As he's gonna go into Zera, I say word, I click Earth Power, game's over. We know he's AV, as he's gonna throw off a Thunder, and he's gonna get a Para. So here's Thunder because of our rain, which is fair, I guess. Throws off the Thunder. Not only does he hit in the 70%, he gets the Para, right? So we're gonna keep going with this one, because as you guys saw, we were in a pretty commanding position to win this game here in the end game. So he's gonna throw off the Thunder, and we are going to get full Parrot. We won the game on that turn. 100% won the game. As he's gonna throw off a knockoff right here. Boom, knock us out. Okay, that's fine. We still have our Scarf and Wyvern. This thing can't kill us. I'm going to throw off a Dragon Pulse. He's going to live on 1 HP. Talked to him after, that wasn't a roll, but he told me he was legitimately 1 HP, which is unfortunate. He's going to throw off another Thunder. I know I don't get 2-hit KO'd by this, unless he crits. And he paras. And he's going to get the crit para. He's going to go for Volt Switch, and he's going to knock us out. And unfortunately, that's going to be the end of our GPL run. Jesus Cron, again, nothing against him. He played to his end games. You're going to see my immense salt on the right side of your screen right there. He played to his best win cons. That was the best course factor for him to do in that end game. I just got extremely unlucky. I had a buddy of mine do the math, and it was like a 0.8% chance or something like that for that to happen. Like, ridiculous to get Thunder hitting into para, into full para, into Thunder hitting and critting into para. Like, I don't think I've ever been unlucky in a game of life. I was really bummed about this for a couple days after, because I would have loved to go on to the semis of this, and then potentially even the finals in a really big tournament like this towards the end. But regardless, I think we played really well this season. I think I played really well in, my playoff games, and especially, like, I really think we executed the Necro endgame really, really well in this game in particular, but it just wasn't in store for us. The Pokegods had other plans for us. Regardless, we got our championship in Canalave, which is obviously really cool, adding to the championship counter, and honestly, that's probably the reason I really wanted to upload this, is because it was, in my mind, I count the Canalave championship as a championship, even though it was just a division. It was a full, 11, 12-week season with playoffs and everything. That's a championship. So we have that on the channel now, but unfortunately we were knocked out here in top 8 of the Championship Cup type thing that they had. So really unfortunate. Again, not Cron's fault. He was a really cool dude. I talked to him after. He was a really nice guy. Just really unfortunate how it ended up going out. But like I said, I had a lot of fun this season. Shout outs to the guys at GPL for running a really tight ship and having a really fun season going and stuff like that. I definitely couldn't do what they did and have that many leagues and have that much stuff going on at once. It was pretty nuts. But regardless, I had fun. I appreciate them. Once again, I'll leave a link to all their stuff in the description. I'll try and see if any of my opponents have YouTube channels that I can link as well. I don't know if many of them upload. I know Ollie does off and on and stuff like that. I'll ask some other guys and stuff like that. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. If you stuck through this whole thing, I thought it was a lot of fun. I haven't done like a movie type video like this before, really documenting a league that I did off screen. So I thought that was pretty fun to do. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.